Hi guys, welcome to the PlayStation Access podcast, the official podcast of PlayStation UK. This special episode is in celebration of The Last of Us Part 1 and was recorded as a live event where we were joined by a fabulous audience of community members at BAFTA. Thank you so much to everyone that came. So, to get in the spirit then, prepare your very best cheers, get comfy with some canapes, and get ready to endure and survive as we talk all things The Last of Us Part 1. Enjoy! That was Dave's special mix.
Worked really hard on that.
It's quite long, that bit.
Yeah. You can see why podcasts are an audio medium, can't you? It's kind of weird. Didn't know what to do with ourselves.
That was the most awkward movement of my body I've ever felt. I didn't like that. I've got my notes. This is also where you don't see behind the scenes. I'm very careful when I shuffle them. So, right, welcome to the podcast, everyone. I am your host, Ash Millman. This is the PlayStation Access live podcast.
Yes!
There is our live audience. And if you're listening back to this, that was you.
You were here.
That's really exciting. And also here is Dave and Rob.
Yes, you looked at Rob and said Dave,
Yeah.
and it's thrown me. I am still Dave. Yes, hello,
You're
Ash.
all one amorphous blob to me. Nate's in there as well somewhere.
That's too true.
But yeah, you guys are here. And usually at this point, I would come up with some fun, quirky name that relates to the podcast we're doing on The Last of Us Part 1. Clearly, we're here with all the signage that you can't see in audio format, but you can see if you're here. We're going to be talking about The Last of Us Part 1. I would usually give us all some quirky names. But this time, I've been left with just drawing from the Last of Us pool of icky things.
Oh, good.
So the best I'd got to line up three names for us all was Clicker,
Right.
Stalker, and Bloater.
Okay.
So I feel like...
I'm going
and there's the Clicker.
I will take Clicker. That's
So-
fine. You can fight amongst the rest yourselves.
I had a lot of canapes, so I think I'm going to have to take Bloater. Just because I feel like it'd be very
I am
cruel.
the stalker then, I guess. Great.
Let's move on. Let's move on quickly.
Rob the Stalker, there's that soundbite.
I thought I was going to be David from The Last of Us Part
Oh my
1,
God,
and I'm
Stalker and David.
I'm
Is
quite
this what we got
glad that we
here?
didn't go there.
Yeah, well, you've just taken it there yourself.
Yes,
You
I do that a lot.
You got on this ship and you steered
I
it.
know, I'm sorry.
Right, everyone. There's my nice little scripted preamble over. So in
Secrets.
this, my secrets. In this podcast, we are going to cover our usual chunks, segments, pieces of podcast fun. The main one being the main feature, aptly named, on The Last of Us Part 1. We're then going to move on to an audience Q&A, question and answer, that stands for. So you guys have put some questions in very kindly. I have them in a little pile behind here. And we're going to flick through, ask some questions, answer them as well.
I hope so.
There's plenty to be done.
Yeah.
And then we're going to move on to some gameplay from David
Oh,
himself.
I can't believe you've brought this up already. This is why I'm nervous, everyone.
Yeah.
We've
We've watched him practice it a lot.
He's practicing it before it went really well.
No, Rob, you turned to me and said, I really thought it'd be better at this.
Did you really say that? You did really say that, didn't you? Okay.
I also have encouraged lots of people who I've chatted to tonight. Thank you so much for coming and chatting with me. But also encourage lots of them to heckle you when we play as well.
What?
I want to hear some heckling
I
when
think
we
we're
go
going
to
to
the
be
gameplay.
fine. Poor Dave.
I'll fall apart. I will lie. Okay, I will start lying.
I'm fine. That's what I
With
think.
nerves, yeah. So
No,
please
we'll have a very calm and collected gameplay section,
Thank
which
you.
Dave has practiced and is good at, so we will do that. And then we're going to go on to more stuff. There'll be a little before you go, which I've made a little bit spicier for you guys. But first, usually I would say, what's new in a fun and jazzy way? But this time I have a different question, which is, where's Rosie?
That is a good question.
Where's Rosie?
Where is Rosie?
I don't know. Maybe you should try giving her a ring.
You know,
Ash.
I think you're right, Rob.
Well,
Wow, my phone's here.
This doesn't seem
That was
scripted
so
at all.
useful. Oh.
This is a very natural thing to happen. We are live, but yeah.
Beep, boop. Rosie?
Hey guys, I'm so sorry I'm going to be late. I'll be there ASAP, but I just saw a free roaming giraffe and I had to go say hello. Because, you know, free roaming giraffes are a common thing in this area. Oh, hey, look, it's Nathan. Hi, Nath. Nath, over here. God, it's been so long since I've seen him. Oh, he's so happy to see me. He's rushing over. Isn't this nice? No, Nath. I can't have a hug, Nath. I've got to get to London. Nathan! Oh, can you save me some canapé?
For God's sake.
There's definitely no canapes left.
No.
Is anyone else slightly concerned that they have actually seen Nathan tonight?
Yeah, Nath is somewhere.
I mean, he didn't look well, but I didn't know he'd progressed quite so severely.
Well, I tell you what, talking about progressing.
Yes,
let's
shall we?
progress onto the main feature. And there's that sting.
Yes.
So it's time for the main feature. We're here now. Everyone. So I'm going to ask you a big question to begin with. This is just the discussion time, so we're going to discuss. What were your first impressions of The Last of Us Part 1? This beautiful, gorgeous, amazing, emotional game. I've just given all the first impressions. What were your first impressions?
Oh, it's such a big question. I mean, like, you really have nailed the initial one, I think, which is just, it looks insane. It looks absolutely incredible. And right from the off, I mean, literally, this is so stupid, and I feel like a bit of an idiot for saying this, but I say stupid things, like just the menu screen. And it's so iconic.
Yes, yeah.
And I'd kind of forgotten, or hadn't fully realised, like, what The Last of Us meant to me. And so I was going back to play The Last of Us Part 1, and I was excited, and then, like, the menu screen came up, and it's just like, it looks so amazing, and that beautiful, like, the curtain fluttering in the wind, and I was just, like, suddenly reminded of everything. And then just revisiting it, like, every detail now, I don't know, it feels like new to my eyes. I know, Rob, that you've been, I was going to say, you've been enjoying Sarah's bedroom, which sounds weird, but the detail in Sarah's bedroom is like...
It is amazing, and when you're talking about first impressions, like, that's the first place you go in the game, right? And I ever think I like exploring bedrooms in video games.
This really isn't helping after we've called you Stalker at the beginning, and you're like, I love exploring a bedroom.
But seriously, though, I do think Naughty Dog is especially good at creating bedrooms that are incredibly fun to explore because they... It's a serious point I'm trying to make.
I'm sorry, I've derailed this. This is a serious point.
Because the game does not have long to get you emotionally invested into these characters. And I hope everybody in here has played The Last of Us. I'm not about to spoil a massive thing. But, like, the opening 10 minutes is very memorable. And the game does not have long to get you emotionally invested into those characters, and then for it to pull the narrative rug from under your feet in the way that it does, for you to feel that moment, for it to be so impactful, like, they have to make you feel for these characters straight away.
Yeah.
And the way they do that, for me, it's one of the most incredible bits of environmental storytelling, I think, Sarah's bedroom at the beginning. I want to give a big shout out to the beanbag as well. I remember seeing that beanbag in 2013 on PS3 and thinking, oh my God, that's like the best beanbag I've ever seen in a video game. Probably the only beanbag I've ever seen in a video game as well. And I was very excited to see that on PS5. But then that sort of led me around Sarah's bedroom, and you get to see all of the little things. And these are all optional things as well. You don't have to look at these. You could plow on with the story. It's quite that moment in the story is you're quite panicked. It's quite frenzied. You don't know where Joel is. Sarah's just woken up. But if you take the time to explore her bedroom, you get little bits of insight into her personality. There's like a birthday card that she's written for Joel. It has like a dinosaur on it, and it has like I can't remember exactly what it says, but it's like, oh, you're not extinct yet, Dad, or something like that. And it's just a little insight into Sarah's sense of humour. You see like football shirts and a football in the corner. So you know she likes football. There's like posters of bands on the wall, and then you go exploring like the wider house, and like you see things in that house. I think everyone can see something in that house that they sort of recognise from their own house, and it immediately grounds you into normality. And you're like, oh, that's just like my bathroom rug, or oh, look at the way the banisters look at the sound of the creaking in the corridor. Like, it feels so normal.
I love this.
It's like a sense of trepidation in the air. Like, immediately, bang, here's normality. Here are these characters. You already know about them. You already care about them. And then smack, it like hits you
Yeah.
with an absolute emotional sledgehammer. And that scene, like everyone remembers that scene from 2013, but going back to it on PS5, everything elevated, like the facial animation elevated, like the emotions that you can see in the characters' faces. That scene has hit harder on PS5 than it's ever hit for me. And
I agree.
As a first impression, it was harrowing, but like an incredible experience.
Yeah, I was going to say, I love the thought of you looking at the creaking floorboards whilst there's a bunch of clickers outside, like, and Joel's there wrestling with the neighbour, going, "Oh God!"
We were talking about this, though, weren't we? It's like it's part of the joy of revisiting the game. It's like the first time we played it. I think we were saying when we played The Last of Us for the first time, we kind of embodied Sarah, like her panic, and we're just like, where is Joel? Where is Dad? And sort of ran through it. And it's been really great, like with this elevated detail, to take the time. I knew, and I think a little bit kind of, I knew what was coming next, and so kind of luxuriated in just a little moment of normality, because her life is going to change quite substantially in the next sort of 5 minutes, and it was peaceful and nice, and to learn about their lives, like you said, ahead of the narrative taking hold.
Yeah, I'm not here to just be goofy, but like,
no,
the first thing I did when I was in there was just look in the mirror and go, "Whoa!"
Yes,
because it's like it looks so good. Like it's literally another Sarah. Like in so many video games,
it's a mirror.
Yeah.
There's a thing though, right?
Ooh.
In video games, that's one of the things you do. You check if you've got feet. You check if you've got a reflection in the mirror.
Like so many video game characters are vampires, or they have like these like misty, dark reflections. Or the mirror's broken is the classic one. Like I was playing a horror game recently where just every mirror was smashed, and I was like, come on, let me check myself out. And being able to see that in The Last of Us Part 1, that the amount of detail that goes into your reflection and how it is literally the same thing. It doesn't need to be there. Like there doesn't need to be a mirror. It could just be paintings or pictures or other things that kind of solidify Sarah's room.
Yeah.
They've put this full-length mirror in there, and you can like see her outfit. She's in her pajamas. She's like, right, what's up? And you can just kind of like a bit, go back and forth in the mirror. Because I was just blown away by that. Like my first impression was, oh my God, the graphics. And then, oh my God, the reflective graphics. Like, it's really, really good and really, really impressive.
Can I just drop in with one more first impression? Very quick
me
one.
Picking up the note.
I know. It's like, I suppose
You only have one first impression.
That's true. Hey, he's got me there. Yeah. No, move on. No, it's very quick, and it's kind of personal to me, really. So enjoy, everybody. But like the other first thing you see on the menu screen is the Left Behind DLC. Yeah. And I've not played the Left Behind DLC.
Oh, muffle
and
you.
So
muffle you.
I know,
bro.
but also I feel smug that I, now that's the next thing I'm going to do, and I'm like kind of terrified and excited in equal parts, which is, it feels like something that only The Last of Us can do. That terrified and enchanted kind of by it. It's amazing.
I do like this. I made a little joke to you earlier about talking about the Left Behind DLC because it is Halloween themed.
For God's sake.
I would argue it's got there's a Halloween theme within. So I think maybe we could look into that.
Maybe. Let's move along. When you're saying only one first impression.
So the next question I've got down, just to go on from that, is what have been your favourite things to rediscover? Like your first impression when you first see this game is mind blowing, and seeing all the different things that have kind of been implemented and improved and how you can interact with them is incredible. But what have you thought? Oh my God, seeing this, I can't wait to get back to this, or I can't wait to see this, or if a discovery that you've made separate to the original game's influence. I'll allow it all.
I think it's really difficult because there's so much, and like again, I'd kind of forgotten what a special place this story held in my heart until I started playing it. But outside of that, one thing I was really, and I'm going to regret saying this given what's happening later on, but I was really looking forward to the combat, because I think that the gameplay, yes, I know I've gone there. The gameplay, the combat gameplay is just brilliant. It's like, it's so good, and I think it's so good because somehow they have nailed the feeling of being like not completely in control, of being a survivor. You know, like Joel is not kind of like some sort of expert hardened SAS guy who
Yeah.
is a dab hand with a weapon. You know, he's like a normal guy who has had to survive and has picked up those skills, sure, but he's still not like, you know, some kind of commando. And like the little touches they put in, the sway on the reticule and things, it makes it so easy to miss. It makes it so easy to miss everyone, okay, if it goes so easy. But that's not the end of it. Like, they give you all these options that you can still think on your feet, you can still survive. It's like the DNA of Joel's character is in that gameplay. Like, what it is him. Like, you are playing as him, having to think on your feet, having to make do with what you find around. Just improvise. I think if you can't improvise, you know, then the combat probably gets a lot more difficult. And I don't know that I can, but I enjoy that it's like it feels so right. It feels so right for the character.
I think what The Last of Us Part 1 and The Last of Us series in general is a masterclass in is claustrophobic, difficult situations that are lucky to get through. And Joel says it himself, like, he's like, that was luck and it's going to run out. And that's my Joel impression.
Very good.
That was luck and it's going to run out. And I always think that embodies the whole combat throughout the series. Like, even if you are, like, you know, dying a lot when you are playing, or that your gameplay reflects a lot of deaths, that's because the one time you do make it through is like the most lucky scenario that you can get, where everything works right. And no matter how hard you try, the game's AI is so smart that it changes every time as well. Like, it doesn't matter how you approach it, it's going to be different, and it's going to be difficult, and it's going to be in your face and tight and uncomfortable, and things will come at you and you'll have to just push them off and then try and like shoot them to get them away. I just think the combat is so delicious, just to riff off your point, because it's like it's just so thought about, and it doesn't feel fun in the same way that being master of the guns would be.
No.
It feels fun in the way of, oh my god, I'm enduring and surviving.
There's like a huge sense of relief after an encounter, rather than a kind of like, you know, like a god feeling. It's like, you know, it's
that's my favourite bit. The relief
afterwards. The relief.
But the to sort of carry on from that, the bit I was most looking forward to, and I think The Last of Us Part 2 absolutely nailed this, was the urban exploration. But coming back to The Last of Us Part 1 now, because you're absolutely right, those combat sequences in the game are so tense. I don't think there's a game that as effectively puts you in the position of the protagonists as The Last of Us Part 1. Like, you feel the desperation, you feel the panic all the time. So when those combat sequences end and you get through it, you're like, oh, thank goodness for that. And then you go around exploring the environment. That's the bit I really like.
Yeah.
And there's a load of, and if you know The Last of Us really well and you come back to The Last of Us Part 1, I think you especially will appreciate some of the extra little environmental storytelling touches that have gone into The Last of Us Part 1. There's stuff in there that wasn't in the original game. Just little bits of extra story. And again, this is sort of all optional stuff. But just exploring that, feeling immersed in that world, rummaging around in drawers and picking up sellotape and bits of scissors. And I love that stuff. Absolutely love it. You know, the satisfaction of the noise when you're like crafting a shiv.
Oh,
that
the
little
noise.
sellotape noise, like,
Or the
I love
nail
it.
bomb.
The
And,
nail bomb
like,
is the best one.
when you got the haptic feedback in it as well, like, one of my favourite things is like the little tiny subtle bits of haptic feedback. So when you put the bandage on in The Last of Us Part 1, it's really hard to describe what it feels, but it feels like putting on a bandage. And you go like that, and there's a little kind of a little rip at the end,
Yeah.
and a little just a tiny subtle little rip goes through the DualSense. It just feels so cool, and you just feel like all of these tiny little things sort of come together to sort of elevate everything that was good about the original game, and just make it even more immersive. And that's the bit I like the most, is just exploring the beauty of this ruined world that they've created, because it does have a sort of a bleak beauty to it. And I can't get enough of it.
It's
I can't get
gorgeous.
enough.
Yeah, it
I
is.
don't even think it's bleak. Like, I think seeing like buildings
Melancholy.
covered. Huh?
Melancholy.
Okay, melancholy, yes. But I think bleak, I would argue against, just because it's so breathtaking. Whoa! I just think it's so breathtaking. Like, I think it's beautiful. Like, imagine if you went outside now and saw a building just covered in leaves, you'd be like, wow.
Bleak. No, it's so true.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we'll probably talk a lot tonight about how amazing it
We will
looks.
talk a lot.
But really, like I've always loved the exploration they did of nature reclaiming the world.
Yeah.
And it feels so like vibrant. I don't know, it's really caught me off guard just coming out, and obviously with photo mode now you can just like you can pause and you can look.
This is what you've teed me up perfectly.
Yes, but you use photo mode for evil.
I do. Oh my God.
See the WhatsApp chat.
Oh yeah.
Just
disgusting.
full of close-up, gross photo mode photos of just like the inside of people's faces.
Oh my God, literally, it's so good. I went in thinking I'm really excited to see a clicker again, because my favourite part of The Last of Us is the monsters, as it is with most games. I love seeing kind of what dark place of imagination that someone conjures a monster from.
And they're so iconic, clickers in particular, I think.
These little mushroom men, like that's when you think of the cordyceps virus being like a mushroom, and then you see a clicker, you're like, whoa, fungus is really bad.
Yeah.
Like it's so cool seeing them. So I really wanted to get in their face and see the super detailed additions to them with this new graphical overhaul. So I went into photo mode when I found my first one. I was like, oh, let's take a picture, and zoomed right in, and it's intense. Like you can see every nook and cranny and crevice. I'm going to post some pictures on Twitter at some point, so you'll see. They're disgusting. You can see all of the nook and crannies. But every time I ran into an infected, like the bloaters were my favourite to take pictures of. Oh my God. Every time I ran into one, I was having a photo shoot with them, like I'm putting on and I've got this great
Can you just stop
one.
right there? I just before, you can kill me, but I do need a photo.
The kill shots are the best ones, because so much work has been put in. Right, my favourite death in a video game ever, which is a weird thing to say, but it's something I've got to hand, is Joel's face being ripped open by a bloater, because the first time I saw it, I was like, oh my God, that's horrific. That's disgusting. How is someone animated this? Because it happens so fast and it's such a flash in the pan, and you see like his eye pop slightly, and then being able to do it in photo mode, if you catch it at the right time, you can get the death shot in photo mode, and it's disgusting. Like I've got so many of the same picture from different blows.
I don't necessarily.
His bloodied gums.
I think this is cool though, right? Because Naughty Dog, one of the other things they're well known for is incredible attention to detail.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Going above and beyond the things they don't really need. If I was in charge of making the game, I'd be like, don't worry about the beanbag. Don't spend beanbag. Do you really need to see all the tendrils inside the eye? Let's
yes.
worry about
Who's going to see that? It's
Me.
No one's going to be peering in and looking at photo mode like that. But they have done.
Yeah.
And the fact that stuff is in there, I think, is also testament to the craft and the care that has gone into this game.
Can I highlight one quick thing about photo mode that's really cool, is that there's a little frame forward button. So if you do pause it and you're like, oh, is that the perfect moment of Joel being ripped into, like you can frame forward and it will just do the next bit of animation. So
it's really good.
I don't condone Ash's
it's so fun.
Photo book of horrors.
Literally, I just on a tangent slightly, I was uploading all of my screenshots to a drive because I was like, I've taken so many of just horrible things. Like people's heads popping because the blood, like you can get it on the image as well. Like it's really, really detailed. So I thought I'll upload my pictures to the drive, and I had to look at how many I'd taken. It was 150 from various different infected and people getting popped.
I'm concerned, Rob. I'm slightly concerned.
It's usually me on the receiving end of this kind.
Do you want to swap seats?
I'm all right here, thanks.
Genuinely, we'll get Dave to do a photo mode shot.
We'll see, Ash. We'll see.
No.
We'll see.
You'll find something gross and it'll be great because it's so detailed. And like I know, again, I'm not here to be just goofy. Like it is really, really cool and intense. And I feel like the infected are such a wonderful reflection of the graphical overhaul. Like it feels real. Like literally, you could go out and touch that clicker out there on his little chest hair.
Not supposed to touch it.
Okay, well, You could go out there and look at the clicker chest hair. Look at it closely without your fingers, and it feels like literally the image you've got on screen. I'm blown away by it, and that's why I've been so obsessed with it.
I think like I should also say you can use photo mode for good, and we did. We were just looking. It is like all about the detail ultimately, and we were just looking at it, using it to read like the spines of books and things. Looking for little Easter eggs everywhere, and it's like it's just really good, isn't it?
It's so
good,
amazing.
and it is worth, like, Naughty Dog's put so much detail in it. It's nice to be able to kind of properly immerse yourself in that and celebrate it.
Yeah. Just thinking about all the pictures I've taken.
So weird.
What's the next bit? Come on.
So I kind of want to move on to what The Last of Us kind of means and the emotional beats that we've hit with it personally. So I think the question I'd like to ask you next is, how does it feel to return to the story after nearly a decade has passed? Like, just in brief, sweeping comments, you know.
Be quick.
Yeah. I've got more questions to ask. But I'd just like kind of like, 'cause I think there's so much you can talk about with this, but I'd love to know overall, what does it mean coming back to this after 10 years?
Oh, it's a really difficult question to answer. I think it's a big subject. I think more than anything, like I just started the game and instantly felt like really excited and to be back. Like I didn't realize, again, I've said this several times, like how much it meant to me, and like I felt this sense of trepidation and also joy and excitement, and I was looking forward to bits, and I was also worried about reaching those same parts and like how am I going to feel this time. But more than anything, I think it's that the story hasn't, like, it doesn't feel like it's aged at all. You know, it hits maybe even harder now. I don't know. And I do think that is partly down to the facial animations, which I will riff on forever. They are so good, and they've got so much subtlety. They obviously always had these incredible performances.
Yeah.
But now with the facial animations and the characters, like I can't wait for everybody to see it, because it's like it just hits harder. It's crazy. But the story itself is it's still so good. It feels timeless. And I think that was not a surprise, but like it's just reignited everything I felt about The Last of Us.
Yeah.
Which has been really lovely.
Yeah, I think it's quite a big question, isn't it? And then everyone's personal situation is going to have changed since 2013. I think, like, I've become a dad in that time, and I imagine quite a lot of people have become a parent in that time, and that obviously, for people who've played the game, will give you a very obvious sort of emotional connection to certain aspects of it. And there are, you know, it's not just that opening scene. And again, I'm sort of talking around it because I don't want to spoil it for anyone who's in this room who still hasn't played the game. But there are things that happen in the game. There are choices that your character makes in the game that 9 years ago I'd have been like, "God," it makes you feel uneasy.
Yeah.
And now, just because of what I've been through in the last 10 years, like, it's sort of given me a different perspective on those moments. And maybe like a different level of empathy with certain characters. I'm talking around it a lot, aren't I?
I
you know what I
think
mean?
You have to, yeah. I think you have to. I think for me, I loved just the best experience with The Last of Us Part 2 in the worst way, if that makes sense, because it's so emotionally harrowing. I've spoke about it before, about just like playing The Last of Us Part 2 and then afterwards literally needing like a 3-hour cry break, because I kept thinking about everything and going, oh God, because I'd played it, all 24 hours of it in 2 days, and was like, oh my God, this is just too much. And then after having that really intense emotional experience and going back to part 1 and seeing all it makes me, I feel emotional again, because thinking about the way that it's all been laid out and like all the seeds that have been sown and things that people will say, like things that Ellie says and things that Joel says and things that other characters say to Joel in particular. Like, again, not to spoil anything, especially if you're re-experiencing it, to catch it yourself is really interesting. But there's one of the last things that Bill says to Joel, really, like, I was like, oh man, come on, watching it all unfold in a map before me. But even just Ellie talking about how great a shot she is with a bow and arrow, and Joel not trusting her with the bow and arrow, and then later as the game goes on, she gets more better with weapons.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then in part 2, you've got like all these iconic shots. It's just, it really has like stirred something up in me, and I don't think I could put my finger exactly on what, other than it is a story of human emotions, and this game is so full of hope and joy and kind of looking to the future, despite its really quite aggressively dark packaging compared to the part 2 as well, which is really about a game about hate, is what the classic phrase is. To go back to this kind of lighter, brighter, things could be okay moment, and to know how it all goes it just makes me sick. Like, it makes me so sick. It's so powerful, genuinely.
It's a great fun game, though, isn't it?
Oh. Once you get photo mode on in the clickers, it's all gone.
Better with a bit
all
of photo
forgotten
mode.
about
Yeah,
it.
it's all forgotten. Yeah.
I think I kind of want to ask you as well, like, what emotional moments have hit the hardest for you outside of the ending? But that might be a bit spoilerific, so if you can say so without spoilers, please
Also,
do.
I feel a bit emotionally drained after that conversation.
You can just say no, Ash. I don't want to answer.
I think there was one that caught me off guard. I think it's interesting because it's just interesting to go back and replay this game and or play the part one for the first time. But with these new facial animations, as I said, I don't know if that's why or if it's just that I'm catching different bits this time around. But just there was one moment quite early on that just sort of caught me off guard. I love how offhand it is. That's the thing about it, and it's just where Ellie first meets Joel and she says, "Oh, your watch is broken," and like. Yeah, it's just like, wow, that's such an incredible moment. And I do think it's the way he doesn't really react. And I think it must be the facial animations now. Like there's like a subtle kind of like you can see like the past 20 years or whatever is like flash through his eyes.
20 years twitching in his eyes. That's how good the animation.
And then it's gone. And and Ellie's so offhand about it and like anyway, and she doesn't know anything about this yet. And it's just, I think there's a real joy in that, like all the, as you said.
Joy?
No,
joy?
But in like finding these different moments that I didn't expect, to hit. It's like, as you say, particularly having played part 2.
Yeah.
It puts not a completely different spin on things, but everything has a different kind of a weight and lands slightly differently. And for some reason, that moment especially just really.
Oh, it's a right
me.
kicker, isn't it? It's like, Ellie, shut up.
Like, you don't know, man.
Oh, man. You don't know what I've been through in the past 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, it is stressful. Rob, I know you said you're feeling a bit emotionally drained, so I'm going to move on to our next question for you, which I'd like you to open with.
Okay.
Which is, if you were in the world of The Last of Us, what would your survival plan be? Now, I've got some points if you want to bounce off one of those, which is like Bill's a lone wolf. You can have a horrible gang like the Hunters. You can have a sewer utopia like Ish. You can live in Jackson with Maria and Tommy, or you can do your own thing. Imagination.
Well, that would be. I think that would be the ultimate goal. Would be to live in a nice place. A nice.
Yeah, I mean, of all the options,
safe
that
place,
that sounded quite.
That wasn't. Yeah,
That
but
would
you
be-
have to.
that
you
would
have
be
to
the
get
plan.
There. You have to get there, and you have to work, and you have to like farm horses.
The initial strategy would definitely be to probably get together a group of no larger than maybe 2 or 3 people.
That's how many you could.
Yeah, because you don't want to be, and also.
Could we be in
Wait
your
a minute.
group?
Are these people you know and
2 or
trust?
3.
Yes, that's
Right.
crucial, but also
Who's the all 3 is what I want to know.
I would have to make sure that they were people that if push came to shove,
Oh no.
I could be in a fight as well. Like, you've got to be prepared to go it alone, I think. Like, you can't trust anyone in that kind of world. Like, we've all seen all the shows. Like, as soon as you come, like, the humans are the bad guys.
Yes.
Maybe
Like, the
we're the
infected
real
are bad enough,
monster.
but they don't know what they're doing. They're just,
Are you telling us you'd be the bad guys? Is that?
No, I'd just be doing my best to survive. The
Yeah.
ultimate goal would be to get to a settlement like Jackson, which has some sort of degree of civilization going.
And
through it.
integrate?
Yeah.
Or overrun?
Integrate.
And then overrun.
And then overrun. Yes, that's right. From the inside. Yeah, I would go big group. Big group, blend in. Don't make too much noise. Don't stand out. Just yes, sure.
which
Yes,
group is-
man.
which
one of
group
the
is this?
henchmen.
Could I get you a drink, Rob? No problem.
Oh,
And then-
not this again. No, oh my gosh.
That would be my survival plan: is to become the most average person ever. Just like no one, you don't even get seen. People just look past you. Not too strong, not too weak, not too.
Doesn't that mean you're going to be the first to be like?
No, I think I'll be
eaten?
middle to be eaten. And that's good enough. That's I've
It's like
given
your-
up.
it's
I'm
like
going to
your
die.
approach
So.
to a Fall Guys level, is he? Just stay in the middle
Middle of the pack.
and hope that the round ends before the bad thing happens to
Middle
you.
of the road. That's basically been my whole plan.
Oh wow,
So,
wow. Okay, nice guys.
how
What would
about
you do then?
I think I would just.
Go in wailing.
I absolutely would want to. I'd want to. I think I would stock up on a lot of weaponry. handmade, and and see what I could do with it. Like the melee fighting in The Last of Us Part 1 is the best part. So I'd be like, no, but seriously, I think I would hide out. I'd make a little house. I'd board it all up. I'd make a cat sanctuary full of little. Like I'd get in all the stray cats, be like, come, and then you've got company and food.
Oh my God! That is, come on, I'm telling Toasty.
Yeah, don't tell Toasty. But yeah, I would think I would have a little house in the distance, like in the countryside, full of little cats.
Well, I didn't know this was an option because that sounds all right as well.
Yeah, well, I think my favourite like actual plan in The Last of Us is Ish in the sewers. Like genuinely, like
it seems very good until it goes very bad.
Well, it's all environmental storytelling, so you don't actually know what happens to them unless you read all of the pages. And I say read all of the pages because it ends differently than you think. But that Ish kind of came to shore. This is like a big like book reference as well. Ish came to shore from a boat and then went into the sewers and just lived in the sewers and like saw some people outside and was like, "Do you want to come in my sewer?" And then set up like a utopia. And it's just, I would want to do that. I'd want to live in the sewer utopia because it's so easily defended. You can be like a little rat going around everywhere. Like I think.
I mean,
good.
it is.
It does make sense.
As sewers go, it seems lovely.
Yeah.
To be fair.
I think I would thrive. I think I would. I think we'd be good as a little group though as well. I think we would.
Wouldn't be good for me, I don't think.
No, you could be the middle because me and
like,
Rob would be either end.
You'd be like, I just pull his eye out a bit further, Rob. I've almost got it. Just a little bit further.
That's how we'd make our money in the wasteland. a little bit. Right. Well, my other question of many is when you are in encounters, talking about making melee weapons and absolutely wailing on things, are you stealth-oriented or are you action-oriented when you go into these games? Well, The Last of Us especially.
Stealth.
Okay.
Not out of like a good strategy, just out of fear. Like I get so, like I feel the panic so much when you go into a room and it's dark and all you can hear is that noise that the clickers make. You just hear it. Yeah, very good. Yeah. Honestly, I panic so much. Like, it makes me panic so much. And so there are encounters in The Last of Us where I have taken a long, long time to do them.
Oh,
because
God.
for like literally 20 minutes, I'll just be hiding behind a bookcase at the beginning, trying to work out a pattern of where everything in the room is going. And they never go the same way. They're all so random. And so, it's stealth, but it often goes wrong. Like you go in with a shiv, you maybe get a couple of them, then you often, you'll alert the others, and then it's stealth, and then it's running away. Stealth, running away, like blindly shooting, panic. And like you said earlier, whenever I make it through an encounter in The Last of Us, I'm not thinking, oh yeah, I did really well there. Yeah. Great play, Rob. I'm basically thinking, oh, flipping heck, thank God that's over. Thank God that's over.
Go and find some sellotape.
So yeah, you can't go in all guns blazing, I don't think. Maybe you can. Maybe you do, Dave.
No, I don't. I would be surprised if anyone just went in all guns blazing, only because, I don't know, it doesn't feel...
You can't.
You could.
Well, let me tell you, you can.
Hang on, of course, I forgot who I'm
Change
on
the
stage with.
difficulty to very light.
But I go in stealthy as well, but I kind of like it when it goes wrong. Because that, like I said earlier, I think
That's the most fun, I guess. That's like when you get to that.
You've got to react. You've got to think on your feet. And I think sometimes a little plan suddenly comes together, or you think, oh God, I've got a nail bomb, and I'll chuck that over there, or you just have a slight bit of prescience or something. I don't know. I always start stealthy, and inevitably I will just mess something up, and then I quite enjoy it when it goes loud.
I think I like. I'm going to do some compliments now. Rob, I think you're a very good stealthy player, and I enjoy seeing your machinations as you go through the sneaking. And Dave, when I see you play, you're a very trap-heavy person, so you use like the Molotovs, the nail bombs, and I think you think very carefully about those and what's like the best area and stuff. So it's really interesting to watch you both play.
And what about you?
And now I'm great.
Yes.
Now me. No, I'm just very. I enjoy close combat in games. Like my favorite thing is melee weapons. It's shotguns. It's things where I can get in someone's face and do loads of damage straight away. I like being able to one shot something. So I will play a lot riskier to be able to deal loads of damage. Go like dooch, dooch, like as everything's. That's a good example. As everything's coming at me, and then like have like my 2 shivs attached to the end of my pipe and just smack someone up. I think that part of The Last of Us as well is so fun to see because it really, like, the game gets in your face at every opportunity. So to get in its face back, I'm like, hell yeah, like it's good.
Yeah, I do think like I don't know if things go like I will try and do it later. Like I like to save up a big melee finish. It feels like I don't know. It just feels right. It does feel good. And the close combat is insanely good.
Yeah,
and like
it's
I
so
said,
crunchy.
I will mess up my arrow shot, and then it will. They'll all be very close.
I like a confession. I don't think I remembered my bow until the end of the game because I'd been shotgunning. I'd been using my revolver, my pistol, the little hand shotgun as well.
Yeah,
so good. Like I just think all of the weapons feel different with the adaptive triggers and haptic feedback as well.
Yeah.
So to be able to like move through all of your weapons and feel like the weight of them and the heft of them and what they can do in your hands. That's me playing. Playing The Last of Us. Yeah. Well, it's 8:45, and you know what that means?
I don't. Please tell me.
It means page
2. Oh my God, this is big. What have you got under there?
So this is the end of the main feature, and we're now going to move on to the audience Q&A. So first of all, how is everyone doing? Are you enjoying the PlayStation Access live podcast? Yay! Oh, I love this power. It's good, so good. Now, I have had some lovely questions submitted by you guys this evening in my little pack here. I also have some questions from the internet, aka the fans Discord as well.
You can't ask them yet. You're forgetting the important
Oh
bit
my
you've
God!
got to do.
I totally forgot.
The important bit.
It's right there, Ash.
So-
Come on.
I literally wrote it down.
Has anyone here listened to the PlayStation Access podcast before? Yeah.
Oh
Right,
my
good.
God, I know what you're talking
So-
about.
Yeah.
It's a bit that we usually do that we're not doing today, which is comments of the week. We'll
Yeah.
be sing the comments of the week song.
I'm
Let's-
more nervous about this.
Let's
than
do,
anything.
let's do an example of the comments of the week so that people know.
Right, you first, Dave.
So it's usually 4 people.
Is this a
Usually
stitch up?
No, we're going to do it.
You promise?
Yeah, it's going to be good.
No, we've got a plan for this.
Okay.
We just didn't tell
Can
you.
I start?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you just
You've
start?
got to
you-
start and you've got to finish
Yeah.
as well. You've got to be Rosie at the end.
Yeah.
Oh God! All
So
right.
it's going to go you, me, Ash, you.
Okay.
Let's do
All
it.
right, Okay.
So this is what usually happens.
Yeah.
I can't make eye contact with any of you. It's time.
It's time.
It's time for comments of the week. Yes. Yes.
Today we're going to do It's Time for the Audience Q&A.
Yeah.
And there are only 3 of us, so we would like the 4th person to be you.
Yes.
So
Will you sing with us?
this is going to be
please?
great. This is going to work. So
This is gonna work.
it is. So it's going to go. It's time for the audience Q&A, and
Yes.
it's going to be.
I don't think any the. I think it should be for audience Q&A.
Okay.
Sorry.
We're going to keep doing it until we get it right. So Dave's going to start.
Okay.
Come on, we can do this.
It's time.
It's time for the audience Q&A.
Oh,
Yeah, that was good. That was great.
I think another.
Nailed
I think
it.
another. I think it was a
Nailed
bit
it.
messy.
No, it was good.
I want to tighten it. I want to tighten those rivets.
No, it's fine. We got it. We got it.
Right.
I make people are like, yes, we got it. Please tell her we got it.
It's not often Dave puts like the foot down, so I'll accept it. Right, shall we begin
Yes.
with these questions? So, lovely audience. There are ticks on these for if you are happy to come up and read your question, or stand up and read your question, I should say.
So a mic is going to come to you in the audience.
Yes.
That's the plan.
So I'm just checking that we've got loads of ticks. There's a couple without ticks, so I won't call on you. But first of all, we've got Tom Wicks. There's
Tom
Tom
Wicks.
Wicks.
I hope you can remember your question. We didn't think about people remembering that.
I have it written down. I have it written down.
I was thinking the same. So I think I asked, what is the game you most regret quitting and never going back to?
Oh God, that's a good. Oh, Tom, can we start with someone else? This is.
Yeah, I didn't read what the questions were.
What's the
For
game?
me, originally Bloodborne, but then I did eventually go back to it.
Yeah.
Humble brag.
Through
Got platinum, didn't you?
Yeah.
But at the moment, it's Elden Ring.
Oh my God, I was going to say Elden Ring. You can't have my answer.
Oh, sorry. But that is my answer.
Yeah. Do you think he'll go back to it?
I really hope so. I suck at it so much. I'm so bad at it. Like I've beaten one boss at the back of a cave. Like not even a real boss, like a little werewolf dog thing. It was really easy.
Steve, you've met Steve.
And like whenever I play it, I go around, I butt up against something a little bit difficult, I run away like I do, and I go and try and find something else. I just never seem to make any progress. And it makes me sad because I know how amazing it is, and I see everyone else enjoying it, and it's the best, one of the best games ever made. But at the moment, it's just, all the other games are coming out, and I'm like, yes, I'll play this first. I'll play this now, and I might go back to Elden Ring eventually. But realistically, I know that unless I am forced to do it, I probably won't, and I regret it. I regret it massively.
I think you will. I have also quit Elden Ring and not quite finished it, and
Is this going to be the
Have
Elden
we got a
Ring bit?
triple?
No,
Elden
I
Ring?
was actually just going to say, like, I really hope you do. And it was just funny to me because we often have this kind of relationship. I think all of us had this relationship. I definitely do with Nathan, where I recommend something and it means instantly that person won't play it. Like, Rob, you got to play Elden Ring. I don't think I will. You got to play it. Like, no, I've just finished Bloodborne. It was hard. I was like, Rob, please. And then at some point your curiosity peaks and you played it and you were like, oh my God, I've been playing it, it's so good. And I was so excited. So I do hope that you go back. I think I don't know, I've got a terrible pile of shame.
Oh,
I think we all do.
We're talking about games.
Yeah. So it's actually quite hard to pick. But one game that I've only played on the channel, and I only played it very briefly, and I wish I had just seen it through after that, is BioShock. I've never played BioShock.
What?
Wow.
What?
I don't know if that counts as quitting because I just started it. There was I think there was a hiss there. Someone was like, can't believe, get that man off the stage. This is disgusting. But
David.
I know.
Dave, that's embarrassing to admit on stage.
Oh, right. I thought this was like a
Thanks for
safe
this
sharing
question.
space. Yeah, thanks,
Thank
Tom.
you.
This is great. Ash, what have you quit that you regret?
I'm not a quitter. I'm not.
Oh, for God's sake.
I'm not a quitter. You've seen the amount of horror games I've finished that I should not have.
True. I do admire your perseverance with things. Like you just don't. You're like you just keep punching and punching and punching until you break through whatever barrier.
I am
it is.
incredibly annoying. It's true, and it's in real life and when it comes to games, I don't let go. Elden Ring's the only one that I haven't gone back to, but I know I will at some point. Like it's just. I got to the Altus Plateau and then I'm like, oh, there's so much more world to see. I'm going to go look at something else for a while. And then it's been months. So it would be good. It'd be good to do it on the channel as well. That's kind of what I want to do. I want to go back into Elden Ring on the channel, especially now everyone's had a chance to explore it and can just tell me what to do.
What's happening here?
So Elden Ring's definitely the main one that stands out for me. There's definitely another that's on like the tip of my brain tongue, but I can't remember what it is. So Elden Ring's going to have to be the...
Let us know if it comes to you later. Let us know. You can jump back with, by the way.
But I haven't finished this. Okay.
We have, and thank you very much.
Thank
for
you,
your
Tom
question.
Wicks. Have a little clap. Thank you.
Yeah. Can we have an easier one?
Okay. So, yes, one for you personally from Nathan, and I don't know which Nathan this is because there's a few, but there's Nathan, and it's a question for Dave. So who? If a hand for there we go.
It's this Nathan.
Have you thought about how you'd be able to get revenge on the others for what they put you through every Halloween?
Thank you. Yeah. Yes. God, it's thrown me. No, I don't. No. God, the mention of Halloween, I've instantly span back to like Halloween's past. I think to a fault. I'm not vengeful enough. I want to say yes. I really want to say yes. But why haven't I done it yet?
Because he likes it, really.
I don't like it. I don't like it.
You would feel terrible if you enacted the pains that you have had enacted upon
That's the
you.
thing. I don't think it's nice to make people do things they don't want to do. And also, I don't know what that would be for Ash even. You enjoy playing the horror games that terrify me, so I don't know what I could possibly dredge up for you.
Impossible?
Yes. And then Rob, I don't know. Rob has a surprising, caring side, and he was always nice to me when Nathan was mean.
Rob has defended you in my ideas before as well, which I feel like says a lot. Like that. Yeah, genuinely, you've been like, you can't do that to Dave.
Oh. What have you suggested? Thank you, Rob.
You're welcome.
You will not be harmed in the coming Halloween. So, I mean, sadly, it's a bit of a boring answer. I don't think, no, I haven't actually given it. But actually, if you've got ideas, if anyone has ideas, catch me afterwards. I'd love to hear them. Let's put something together. Maybe we can work it out.
I've been given ideas for you.
Having said that, you?
Yeah. Genuinely.
Tonight.
This evening, thank you very much. We're going to follow through on that.
I've reconsidered. Because if it's a toss-up between me having to endure Halloween or me dishing out Halloween, I'll dish it out. Let's dish it out. Please bring me your ideas. I would love to hear them. That would be much, much better.
I would like to see you run. Do you want to run this Halloween?
Run? Is this a trick? What's this?
No,
you will run.
I just mean, if you're interested in taking on the horned helmet of doom, then would you like to run this Halloween?
Yes. Yeah, words. There you go.
Well, you can't. So.
Okay.
All right. I've got our next question here. Little clap. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nathan.
So our next question, it doesn't have the tick, so I'm just going to read it out. This is from Louis. Is there any games from previous generations of PlayStation that you find yourself coming back to, even though newer versions have been released? So this is a Rosie question.
Yeah.
Through. Like, she loves this, and I can't believe you asked this when she's not here.
Yeah. You should do your Rosie impression.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no.
Oh, yeah, this is absolutely a tee up for that.
I can't believe I've actually got to do it now. So, Rosie.
Oh, do you want us to have like a conversation with you?
When she's talking about, games from the past,
yeah,
she gets very excited. And she's like, retro games! And she's like, oh my God! I love Parappa! And that's my Rosie impression. It's my very best impression.
It's actually really good.
Thank you.
That is great.
It is good. It is good. Like, that is the Rosie, like, the voice that she does.
Yeah.
And then the impression of you is, oh, I'm Rob Pearson from the deep. I love Lord of the Rings.
Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this?
This isn't the question. The question is, do you go back to older PlayStation games? Yes, and I feel like playing The Last of Us Part 1 is a really great example because I really want to go back and play the first one remastered and then Part 1 and see its progression and its growth and feel all the different parts that come from it as well. Like, I think that I want to do that. But I'm always back on the PS2 when I've got a little free moment. Head back there.
I like the old... The golden age of Final Fantasy for me, 7, 8 and 9 on PS1.
I didn't know you liked Final Fantasy.
You've never mentioned this. Yeah.
I do really like Final Fantasy. And those games have all been sort of re-released on PS4. Obviously 7 has a remake now, which is glorious. There's a PS4 version of Final Fantasy 8 and 9, which are really nice. But there was something about that golden age on PS1 for me that was just really magical. So it's like, it's like going back and watching the original theatrical cuts of Lord of the Rings, like reliving that magical feeling.
Not the
and there's there's a really famous bit. Not famous for people who don't know about it, but in Final Fantasy VIII, where Squall meets Rinoa for the first time, and it's like a meme, and she's like, "Oh, will you dance with me? You're the best-looking guy here." And his face is all pixelated in PS1. It looks really funny, and he's like.
Look like triangles.
On PS4, he genuinely looks beautiful, and that scene's just ruined for me now. I like it when Renoa's like, "Oh, you're the best-looking guy here," and he's just like, "Thank you."
I will give the unpopular answer, which is that
You're just gonna go no.
I like innovations. I love playing retro games, but I'm not playing them on my original consoles. My original consoles are lovely to look at, but I just can't bring myself to fiddle about with wires and SCART leads. I like save games. I like the cloud. I like streaming my games. I like all the retro games are fantastic, but especially if there's like a wonderful remaster. I'm thinking like Shadow of the Colossus or something.
I think for first experiences, definitely, like I'd want to play the most recent version, but then sometimes I'll want to go back and see where it came from as well.
Yeah, no, I completely appreciate that, but as long as I don't have to fiddle about with a wire.
Yeah.
No, I do. I'm a comfort gamer.
Yeah. Oh well.
It really was an unpopular answer. I thought like someone might be like, "Yeah, me too, man. Fair play," but no, it's not the room for that.
Everyone,
yeah, you got some cheers.
Everyone dislikes that. Dave.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much for that question, Louise.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness, I've picked up the used pile. Okay, so we've got another question from Sam Veal.
Hello, guys. Welcome back to London. Unfortunately, while you've been away, Bath has been overrun by monsters. And Access, you're the final defence.
What's happening?
You are the last guard. So my question is, which monsters from which game would you like to face off against if you are...
Would we like to face off against?
Well, you are facing off against them. You have no choice. Which ones would you pick?
Ash, I mean, this is you all day.
Oh, there's so many, but they're all so strong. Like, I keep thinking about.
I think would you like to face off against? I'd be picking like a bite bug from Final Fantasy VIII. I'd love to face off against that because you just swat it.
Yeah, but would there be loads of them? That's the thing. Would there be many?
I don't know.
Would there be a swarm?
Are there many?
Is there a swarm? I feel like it's like the question of like a 1,000 duck-sized
bite bugs.
Whatever they are, 1,000 bed bugs, or like one
bite
giant,
bugs.
or one gigantic bed bug, like.
Crying out.
Do you ever wish you'd never started something? Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to face anyone. I wouldn't like to face any monster.
Rob lives nearby.
Yeah.
He'll be fine. Yeah.
Bath can go.
I care. What about me, Rob? I'll be there. Help me. You were nice to me once.
Well, what would you face off against then?
Well, obviously I wouldn't. But well, I thought of something that I can't defeat. Which is Mr. X. I thought I'd just keep running away.
You want to face Mr. X?
No, I don't. But I don't want to face anything. But I'm just
so you choose Mr. X?
Well, I didn't know there was a right answer.
They're just the like indestructible, towering hunk of muscle.
I know, but that's like
who
in a
cannot
way,
be killed.
in a way,
who follows you around all sorts of horrific situations. You'd go on then.
Yeah, but in a way, this gives me comfort because it's like I just have to keep running away. I'm not even going to try and face him. Just run away. And also, he's only got one speed. Actually, sometimes he can go a little bit faster. But like, if I could get a car, I could lead him back to London. Okay, here, and he can cause some damage here instead. I think that would make sense.
God.
How about you? I mean, you've got the biggest. I think you've got a plethora.
Oh, no, and
you're the most familiar with monsters.
It's choking me up. It's choking me because I don't know what I would face up against. I don't know what the easiest one would be. Oh, I'm looking at the PlayStation screen to see what I've downloaded. I feel like maybe the little. Sorry, I'm laughing at my own mess up there. The Zerks from Stray.
Zerks, yeah.
Thank you. I was really getting stuck on that. I was going to say the Zorbs, like the plastic balls. I would fight a Zorb, but I'd also fight the Zerks from Stray because they're so small. They are killer to a cat and to a robot, and they would melt my flesh, but I would be fast and quick, and you can just like kick them, can't you? Like, and the cat can shake them off.
Really kickable, to be fair.
Yeah, like I think
it would be quite fun.
Just to squash one.
Yeah. Well, let's pray it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Because I would like to get home
Yeah.
And I don't want to face Mr. X.
No.
Yeah, you've done this now. He's chosen Mr. X. That's the end. So,
Yeah.
Careful
what you wish for.
thank you so much for your question. Right, I've got another one here. It doesn't have the tick, so I'm going to read it out, which is, who do you think would last the longest in the world of Toulouse, a.k.a. The Last of Us, from Lloyd?
Out of us.
Yeah.
I think it's obvious.
Who is the Last of Us?
It's obvious that I would be the first of us.
I don't know. I think you've put this badge on. of,
Blend
like,
in.
You're just the bait meat. Like you're just like that's your whole shtick. But I think you're squirrely.
What, looking?
No.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I'd be terrified. I think I'd just succumb. I'd tap out right away. I'd be like, do you know what? Like, has anyone got any spores? Let's go. Let's breathe it in. Let's get it over and done with. I think. I don't know why I'm saying what I think. I think that Rob.
I think I would survive the longest.
Right. Okay.
I could
right,
see.
Rob just
I could
thinks,
see it in your face.
Rob just thinks he would.
I would.
Oh, you just would.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think I would survive the longest.
Well, let's find out, everybody. Let's do it.
I think you would also survive the longest, yeah. I think I
Really?
would do something very stupid. I don't know what or in what way. I just know it would be a bad decision. I think you would just be like, that's it.
I feel like you'd make a really loud noise at a time when you weren't supposed to make a loud noise,
Yeah.
just like for the hell of it. You'd just be like, whoa! And you're like, oh no. Well, I've alerted
I'd be
them
out
to
with
my
Rosie, and Rosie would be there going, "Rah!"
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So I guess it would be you, Rob. Although also I do remember us playing Alien Isolation and at E3, a
Yeah.
kind of early demo of it, and you being so terrified of the game that you did just stand up and wait, as in the game, just stood up. So the xenomorph could
Take me, Xenomorph!
Yeah, it could just come and kill you.
But
So I think
we're not talking about the world of Alien Isolation. We're talking about the world of The Last
Okay,
of Us.
sorry, yes, very good point. Very good
I
point.
don't know, the runners though. Runners is
Oh,
the
God.
whole deal, isn't it? That's the bit that would be sticky. I think a clicker, a bloater, a stalker, a shambler even. I think I could outpace them all.
What about a human, like a bad human?
Oh no.
No.
No. Yeah, no.
That's what I would worry about.
I just got too
mostly.
much trust. They'd be like, "Come over here. We're making loads of meat meals," and I'd be like, "Sure."
Actually, if you're falling for meat meals, you really, I mean, maybe you would be the first.
and then I would be the meat meal. Like that's what would
that's right.
happen.
Surprise.
So Rob lives for no reason other than we would not.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Thank you so much for your
Thank you for your
question.
Thank you very much.
We have a sneaky little thing happening, aka we're going to hear from Matthew Gallant,
The
from
game director, yes. The game director of The Last of Us Part 1.
Yeah, which is really exciting. So here we go.
Okay, we're really happy to be joined now by Matthew Gallant, the game director of The Last of Us Part 1 over at Naughty Dog. Matthew, welcome to the PlayStation Access podcast. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, it's great to be here. Thank you so much.
The first thing I want to ask you, Matthew, is I'm really interested in your personal journey with The Last of Us. Having worked on the original game in 2013 as a designer sort of early in your career, and now stepping into the game director role for The Last of Us Part 1, like how has that journey been for you? That must be quite an emotional ride over the last decade.
Yes, absolutely. So I joined Naughty Dog in 2012, and I was very early in my career. I had shipped one game at a different studio, but I was still, only a couple of years out of university. And so when I came to Naughty Dog, I was just starstruck by everyone around me. They were so experienced, and they everyone I spoke to in every department was just people at the top of their game with their respective disciplines, and it really was very quickly kind of a crash course in developing games of that level and what it took. I was very thankful. I worked quite a bit with the game director of the original game, Bruce Straley, and he, the kind of culture he encouraged on the design team was very much encouraging people to own what they were working on. He almost had kind of a Socratic method of going about it, where he was it was like, you're owning this, push this forward, reach out to anyone you need to move this forward, check in with me, review things. But it made me feel, even though I was very junior coming onto the team, that I had a lot of ownership, that I had a lot of creative input, that I was responsible for kind of moving forward what I was working on. Mostly what I worked on in the original game was actually infected combat encounters and AI and stuff like that. And I worked alongside another combat designer, Benson Russell, who did the human combat. But kind of from that starting point of just jumping in with 2 feet right away onto The Last of Us, kind of as it was already quite far along in production. I'm coming up, if you do the math, I said 2012, I'm coming up on about 10 years at Naughty Dog now. And the bulk of my career, the better part of my career here has been working on The Last of Us franchise in one form or another. I spent years, I was the lead systems designer in The Last of Us Part 2. And when I had, when Evan and Neil came to me and I had the opportunity to step into this role on The Last of Us Part 1, I felt incredibly honored to have that opportunity. I love this series, I love this franchise, this characters, but also a lot of pressure, because I know The Last of Us is one of the most beloved games of all time, that we have, millions of fans around the world, and they hold in their heart this game the same way I do. Everyone kind of has their own perspective on this. And so I always tried to keep that in mind while we were making decisions and moving forward on this game. It was like to try and make our love for this game and everyone on the team, what we love about this game, and try to honor that, and to meet fans with kind of the best version of that experience they already love.
Amazing. And when you stepped into that role as game director on The Last of Us Part 1, you mentioned it there, that you felt the pressure because this is such a beloved game. How did you approach that balance, I guess, between preserving what was so special about that original nearly 10 years ago, but also potentially putting your own creative stamp on certain elements of the game? Like how did you manage that?
In general, we tried to hew extremely close to the original vision of the game. But what that often meant was that what was possible on the PlayStation 3 was actually somewhat smaller or reduced, or just like it was as far as could be possible on the original hardware, but the actual vision behind it was actually quite a bit larger.
Yeah.
You can see this come through to some extent. When we were developing on the PlayStation 3, we were using every inch of performance that we could across, GPU, CPU, memory, everything. So there are areas of that game, in the original game, that are maybe a little more simple in terms of their geometry or their set dressing. That wasn't necessarily, a creative choice. That was just, we can't afford to go hyper detailed in this area. We have a hyper detailed area afterwards and a hyper detailed area before, and we have to load that all in memory before you get kind of upstairs into the next room. So there were often trade-offs involved. It was similar for kind of across the board. There were kind of limitations to the fidelity of the characters, or the animation quality, the number of enemy AI that could be spawned at once, the number of dynamic runtime lights that could be running at once. All of these things had hardware limitations when the original game was being developed. And we had the opportunity when making this game to kind of reevaluate those decisions. Were they intentional creative choices to have an area look a certain way, or was this motivated more by the limitations of the time? And if it was only the limitations of the time, then we got to go in and reconcept, reset dress, come up with new artwork. An example that I find very illustrates this very well is when you first get to the State House Museum in Boston. There's kind of this lower floor area, these back rooms, and in the original game, they're kind of offices. They don't really stand out very much. They're kind of office rooms, quite plain. On The Last of Us Part 1, we got to go in and think harder about just like, what would this room have been? What would the back rooms in a museum be? And in our case, we reset dressed them, reconcepted them as an art restoration station. So you'll see like paintings in the middle of being restored. You'll see kind of the colonial busts that they have in storage, in the back rooms. You'll see some of the tools that they might have. And this has just generally been true all across the board, all sorts of areas that we've gotten to dig into that environmental storytelling more, because we have, just abundance of memory and processing power now. We have the ability to go in and really do what I think we would have done back then if we'd had this power, if we'd had these tools, if we had this capability. Being able to go back and have another pass at this has been really exciting, particularly because it's a lot of the same folks actually working on this remake that worked on the original game. It's the original art director, EP, that is still here, and he's expressed, how much fun it is for him to be able to revisit some of these decisions, revisit some of these spaces with a decade of hindsight and improvements to craft and improvements to technology. So I would say, when you talk about like the creative stamp or like what we tried to adjust, that was kind of the space we were playing in.
Right.
If something met the original vision, we wanted to really honor that. But anywhere where we felt like the original vision was being constrained by technology, that's where we got to step in and say, like, what could this be? What could make this even better? What would make this even more detailed and rich?
And you may have already answered this question just in your previous answer there with the Boston offices that you mentioned. But having played the game myself for a little while, obviously there's the visual upgrade, which is immediately striking. As soon as I stepped outside, like the richness and the vibrancy of the foliage and just the detail on everything was like amazing. And I think it's going to be obvious for people who play it when they see the improvement just in the facial animation as well. But I wanted to ask you, is there anything that maybe people might not necessarily notice, but that is there, that simply, is there a specific scene or a specific level that you think has really benefited hugely from the leap from PS3 to the PS5 technology now? Something that the audience may not necessarily notice is there, but you as a person who's been involved in the development of these games is like really excited about it. Like, this is cool. This is what you should be thinking about.
I'll actually give an answer kind of drawing from my background in AI and NPCs and stuff like that. I actually find across the board, the buddies that you're traveling with through the game have been upgraded in so many dimensions. There's kind of the obvious one I don't want to downplay because it's incredible, but just like the improved facial performances in these cinematics, how real they feel, you really getting that layer of emotion. But even outside of the cinematics, in the years since the original game, we've really advanced our technology for just like ambient buddy behavior. If you're just walking through a space, what are they doing? They're checking things out. They're walking around. They're exploring. We have these systems, we have this motion matching system that gives them a more organic looking animation set, but also we have these things called move performances that are kind of like if an NPC wants to move from one point to another and they have an opportunity to do kind of like a half turn behind them and to look at something or to look out into an open space. We have all this logic that can kind of detect that and give them these little organic performances. The one that I notice a lot when I play the game as well is that we have this system called emotion scripting now. And what it means is that we have these kind of this set of facial expressions that a character can go through as they're saying a conversation. And it can be dynamic. It can be on one line, they're happy, on one line, they're frustrated or jokey. And so in The Last of Us, there's a lot of kind of ambient conversations happening all the time. You can go up to things and, a character will say a prompt and you can press triangle to engage a dynamic optional conversation with them. And if you just stop and watch those characters as they're delivering those lines, the little nuances, the little like arms folded gestures or the changes in their face as they're saying different lines, all of this really brings these characters to life for me. And this is, in general, one of the things I really love about The Last of Us is that you're on this journey with these companions and you're getting to know them and you're getting to learn about their history and their, who they are as people and who they are as characters. And that's so much richer now with this, just improvements across the board on the AI, on the facial, on the animations, and in the cinematics.
Fantastic. one of the ways, well, certainly in many ways, The Last of Us Part 2, when it was released, sort of broke a lot of new ground. But one of the things that I think really stood out was the incredible range of accessibility options in the game, which obviously when the original Last of Us came out in 2013, it's a massive improvement on what was possible then. And now those options have carried over to The Last of Us Part 1. So for you personally, how exciting is it to know that half of the story, the part 1 of the story is now going to be accessible to so many more players? That must be really exciting.
Absolutely. I can say personally, nothing makes me prouder as a game developer than hearing some of the stories from players I've heard of how thrilled they were to be able to play this game, or to share the game with a loved one, or to be able to reconnect with a hobby that they thought they'd lost due to disability or life circumstances or whatever. One of the funny things about The Last of Us Part 2 having all these accessibility options, that meant for a lot of players, they were kind of starting this series halfway in. They were walking into the story midway, and they didn't have this history with these characters. They didn't really know who Joel and Ellie were because the first game hadn't been accessible to them in that way. So I'm really excited that players will now get to experience the full, 2-part story, back to back, seamlessly having that accessibility support. We also have a number of new accessibility features that are really exciting. One of the ones that is very interesting from my perspective is that we have descriptive audio for cinematics. So this is a feature that you often see in television and film, where basically someone has gone through and inserted little descriptions of what's happening in the scene, and had to do so very artfully, kind of in the breaks between the dialogue, and try and fit in as terse a description as possible in that little gap. And we partnered with a company called Descriptive Video Works, and they do this service for Netflix and game trailers and stuff like this. But we've integrated this into the game, and I think this is going to be really exciting. It's one of the feedback that we got from the original accessibility set on The Last of Us Part 2 was that it opened up the gameplay, but there were still a lot of moments within the story beats that it was difficult to kind of convey. If you didn't, if you without sight, if you're not seeing what's happening on the screen, you don't know the spatial relationship between the characters, or that one character is aiming a gun at another one, or that sort of thing. Another feature that I find very interesting, just in the accessibility space, is we've gotten to leverage some interesting stuff on the DualSense controller. And one of the features that was a little bit experimental, but that we pursued and managed to ship on this game was this feature called dialogue haptics. And this feature, what it does is that it basically plays the dialogue through the haptic vibrations on the controller. And the idea here is to, for a player who's deaf, that they'd be able to feel the way that the line was delivered and kind of get a sense of where the emphasis was and what the emotion behind it was. I'm very curious to see what the feedback will be from players. In our kind of limited user experience testing, we got some positive feedback, but really, really interested on get a sense of the reaction from the community on that one. But I found that a very interesting and fun way to be able to leverage this new hardware.
That sounds fantastic. For people who are already incredibly familiar with The Last of Us, and I imagine a lot of the people listening to this podcast, a lot of the fans of PlayStation Access is often listed as one of their favorite games of all time. For people who have played this game lots, what do you think is going to surprise them the most about The Last of Us Part 1?
You're okay.
So I have a couple answers here. I don't know if that's cheating. The biggest one to me is those cinematics, is those performances. One of the things that's happened is the animation team, the cinematic animation team, has gone back and referenced the original motion capture performance, the original actor performances with Troy and Ashley and everyone else on the cast, and to be able to much more closely match the facial, the eyes, the very subtle details from that performance in the in-game animation. And what I find that often means in terms of storytelling is that there's often just layers to these performance. A character is saying one thing and feeling another thing, or they're reacting one way, but you know there's an emotional subtext that is motivating. You know, it's Joel being gruff, but inside he's scared or sad or afraid to be hurt again, that sort of thing. Those layers of that performance come through much more strongly now with these improved character models and improved facial animations, improved cinematic performances. And I think anyone who knows kind of the overall arc of the story is well familiar with the events that happen in the game. They're going to be able to catch that there's just layers of that performance, what's getting the rich interior life of the characters. Another one I'll mention, just because, again, coming from my own background a little more, is the way that the combat scripting was done in many of these encounters. Our technology for that has just evolved quite a bit. It used to be that if you wanted to make encounters play out a certain way, you had to do a ton of just hand scripting, of just, if the player goes here, do this. If the player goes here, do that. And you really had to tightly hand control it, just because there was no alternative. That was the technology we had at the time. We were also acting around the limitation of we could only have 8 NPCs alive at the same time.
Right.
So a lot of these fights effectively have way more than 8 NPCs. You know, I think of the bookstore fight in Pittsburgh. I think that has over a dozen NPCs effectively across the whole fight, but only a small subset of them could be spawned at the same time.
Right.
And so in the PlayStation 3, if you're going through that fight, we're just desperately despawning NPCs behind you, spawning NPCs in front of you, just trying to maintain that illusion of a much larger fight because of the technology limitations at the time. We didn't have to have that technology limitation on The Last of Us Part 1. And what that means is that the AI are more free to just engage in their systemic behaviors and fight you wherever you happen to move. We also just have better, more flexible combat scripting logic that basically doesn't depend on that hand scripting of exactly when you go here, they have to respond this way. Exactly when you go to here, they go to respond that way. It can be much more dynamic. It can be, here's a strong position. And if an NPC was to hold this, they would be very well defended and cover from various directions. But there's a kind of an AI manager that's going to be selecting, okay, you go fight here, you go fight here, you defend here, you go flank the player, and having all that dynamic AI logic, I think it's going to make these fights a lot more rich. Every time you fight them, they're going to be playing a little differently. You're going to see different interactions. You're hopefully going to be surprised by the NPCs and what they do. You're going to be able to, play with their knowledge model and throw a brick over there and actually flank them over here, all that kind of things. I'm really excited to see how players find new ways to play through these encounters and hopefully find something new every time they play them.
Sounds fantastic. My final question, Matthew. The Last of Us, for all of its ingredients, is a very, at its core, a very human story, and sort of like the emotional responses that you have to the game, certainly for me, happen on a very sort of human level. But I was just interested in your take, trying to distance yourself from the fact that you've been involved in the creation of these two games. As a fan, have you found that in the 10-year period between The Last of Us, or nearly the 10-year period between The Last of Us and The Last of Us Part 1, if there has been any sort of change in your emotional response to the game, or something that's elicited an emotional response in you now that maybe it hadn't 10 years ago? I'm really sort of interested in that sort of like decade-long journey and how we change over 10 years, and if your response to the game has changed as well.
So in the 10 years since the original game came out, I've actually become a father, and I have a young daughter.
Right. Yeah.
And so, I mean, it's kind of an easy answer here, but certainly makes my understanding of Joel much different. You know, the opening scene with Sarah is just devastating now, and trying to, it's kind of like a different level of empathy. There's one level of empathy. You can obviously understand human suffering and grief on one level, but when you can really connect to it personally through your own life, it hits you very differently. And it also, my relationship maybe to Joel's decision at the end of the game is very different as well. I understood it one way back then, and I can, not that I condone it or accept it or say you made the right call, but that like my understanding of what would motivate someone to go to such extremes to protect someone they love, to protect themselves from grief and hurt and pain, why being a parent makes you a little bit crazy and can make you connect things that seem crazy possible to consider. I would hope it would be the same for many fans out there, that it's this is a rich story, it has a lot of nuance, it has a lot of characters, it has a lot of humanity, and I think a lot of these moments like this will hit very differently for people who find themselves in a completely different situation and circumstances in their life. And I find the same is true for many media, books, TV shows, movies that I love, that I can revisit them at a different stage in life and get something completely different out of them. And I would hope fans out there find the same for The Last of Us Part 1.
I'm sure they will. Matthew, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you. Thank you again so much for your time, and congratulations on The Last of Us Part 1. It looks and plays absolutely incredibly. I can't wait to really get stuck in, and I'm sure our audience would agree with me. So thank you once again, Matthew. Really appreciate your time.
Thanks so much, Rob. It was great talking to you as well.
And now we're going to take a look at some gameplay expertly demoed by our in-house pro gamer himself, David Jackson. Let's hope there's nothing too scary.
I'm going to be very quiet, so please do,
Heckle.
Rob and Ash, please.
No,
please do, say interesting things.
So let's set the scene. Where are we in the game here?
So this is Pittsburgh. So Joel and Ellie have just met up with Henry and Sam, who you can see in the shot. They are trying to escape Pittsburgh because it's full of hunters who are pretty intense and want to kill everyone and steal all their goodies and, just be horrible. So they've fought their way through Pittsburgh with some nasty encounters. They've got to this office building that Henry has scoped out, kind of waited all out, and now they're making their move to get to the signal tower on the other side of the state, Pittsburgh city, the other side of Pittsburgh, basically. So they need to get to the bridge to get out, to get to the signal tower on the other side. And this is the perfect time to do it because it's night. There's a skeleton crew defending it, so we're going to have to get some baddies gone, but not as many as it would be in the day. That was a very detailed review of where we are.
It really was. Yeah. I appreciated it. Please do more talking because I'm terrified suddenly.
Oh, don't be terrified. Genuinely, we've seen Dave play this and practice it, and you are really.
It only went wrong
it doesn't go wrong. This is the thing. It just gets more interesting.
Well, if you remember, I very carefully said earlier that it's when it goes wrong, that's when it's at its best.
The chaos is really fun, and I think getting it wrong also shows the difficulty of the game as well, because there is challenge there. So don't worry about it.
Think they're still in the city? Yeah, they're still.
The great thing here you can see is Henry sneaking up with Joel to get the other
I'm gonna do another round.
little baddie, and then following his lead. Photo mode.
Want to take a photo of that, Dave?
Photo, no. Yeah. I'm good, thank you.
Everyone move up.
Okay.
It's really you can see how beautiful the game is, but what you can't feel is how crunchy and liquidy the kills are. They are really textural.
Could we turn the sound up a bit maybe on this?
There's a clicker, but I don't think he's going to get me.
That's more of a grudge. It's more of a grudge noise, that one.
You see that shit? Not bad.
That'll be me in a
I've got a fun fact about that bridge you can see in the distance. I was speaking to Matthew Gallant, the game director, and he let me into a little bit of insider game dev knowledge. And that bridge is something that in game dev circles they call it a weenie. And a weenie apparently means an object that will be really prevalent in a level that the camera or the game always moves focus to, and it helps you navigate. And I just thought that was really interesting because it made me think.
Yeah.
I know loads of times in games where I've there's a thing that pops up in the level and you constantly have to follow it through. And it's just subtly beckoning you through. I just thought that was a really interesting little bit of insider info.
Good
shot, Dave.
That was so good.
I think that deserves a bit of a round of applause. Very good shot.
With the arc on it, genuinely. Don't be nervous. Have fun.
I find it fascinating, all these little gameplay design devices that exist to sort of just naturally lead you through a game. It's incredible.
You're going to try and
Are you
turn
going to do the
generator?
sneak and turn off the generator, or are you going to...
We want to see it.
I feel like that's the pro level. Shall I go for it?
Yeah, give it a
I
go.
can do it.
Or are you going to distract?
A distraction.
Very clever and smart.
But don't run. But don't run. I really want to run.
Oh, it's so
I really want to run.
I mean, I'd be running.
Don't run.
Don't worry.
He's so casual.
They're going to come down.
Now I'm
though,
going to
now.
run.
Hide,
Now I'm
hide,
gonna
hide,
run. Now I'm
hide.
going to run. Brick.
Subtle. Very subtle, Dave.
Okay, it's time for some toys. The nail
See,
bomb is just insane.
You're so trappy.
Applause for the nail bomb. We love the nail bomb, yes.
The Molotov's not bad.
It's the screams with the Molotov. Like, they're really horrible and real.
You're doing very well so far, Dave. Another distraction, a brick distraction.
I'm going to try.
Oh,
I'm tempted
You
to
can
go
do
for
that.
another.
oh, the other guy will see that.
Oh, he's done it.
Okay.
So good.
One more.
I'm going to try and finish with a flourish.
Oh,
Oh, smoke bomb.
well done.
I think that deserves a round of applause.
there's
That was very
more.
good. Is
There's
there
a lot
more?
more.
Oh, no. It's not over yet. I mean, he's just come downstairs. He's like,
oh, no.
I would just go back. You'd be like, that's like this is,
Oh, I've missed
Oh,
him.
here we go. Here we go.
It's gone wrong.
This fight.
Henry!
Get your
Henry.
big
Come on,
stick.
Dave.
Use your big stick.
Just
Use
hit
your
him.
big stick.
Please, Henry!
Oh, he's
no,
cowering.
Finish him. Finish him.
I mean,
Finish him.
you made me look bad on stage. He was going to hurt me, guys. He was going to hurt me.
Goodness gracious,
Okay.
Dave.
Let's move on.
I forgot what you're like under pressure. You just like dish it out, man.
Come on. Go.
Oh no, I didn't reload my gun. This is a mistake.
Reload. No, you got loads of time. Nobody's going to pop up.
They're over here.
Shots.
The headshots, Dave.
Another little interesting bit of info about that particular enemy. Apparently,
Keep your
that
eyes
enemy
open.
was
We ain't out of
added.
this mess yet.
I'll let Joel finish speaking. That enemy was added because focus testers struggled to spot this ladder. So they added a little enemy up there just to draw attention to
Well,
it.
did they have to do it so stressfully?
I just love that
check
kind
it
of
out.
stuff. Like it's.
It is amazing. Like I said, it's incredible, these little tricks they use.
We're good. Sam, let's go. All right, kid, come on. There you go. Come on. Shit. Hurry, hurry. Hey.
Uh-oh.
Okay, we gotta get him up.
I'm sorry. We're leaving.
What? What's this bullshit?
Hey, now!
What the fuck, Henry?
Henry!
We stick together.
I love that moment when she jumps down. Did you see the look in her face as well?
Yeah.
When Henry decides he's leaving.
That was true, like, Henry.
There aren't any real close-ups in that cutscene, but like honestly, the facial animations are so good.
You should show some photo mode when you get a moment. Not of disgusting things. I just mean like, you could have a little looking at the face maybe.
Don't tempt me, Frodo. I just want to make it all go well.
Uh-oh.
Who are these fellas?
Now we can show some cool stuff off here, Dave. Come on.
These are my favourite. They're so horrible, but they are my favourites.
Look at all the sharps hanging at the top, man.
I feel sorry for this guy, but not sorry enough. There you go.
Look at all the stuff that came off the wall though, like the whole like chip-in, break-in,
Oh, I
things
know.
flying around.
The lights on the ceiling. Oh, right in the face.
try and.
What is wrong with all of you?
Oh, he's coming. He's agitated.
I tell you what, if you flamethrower a bloater, great photo mode.
Oh, good shot. Oh no,
Not good
you've
enough.
not got him.
Thank you.
Ow.
Thank you.
That was amazing.
Okay.
Come out, you son of a bitch!
No need for
I
that.
don't think I will.
What are you going to do?
Oh, bottle to the face.
Oh.
Photo mode.
We got it. We got it. And I think we could frame forward for. So you can get that perfect shot, Ash. You can get that perfect shot. Yeah. Joel's not bothered. Just another day. Just another day in the life.
Is that all of them?
I hope so, because I really relaxed then. I was like, oh, I've done it. Yes, it's fine. It's
Can
fine.
we? Does anybody know where this bar is from? Correct answer. Yes. That's another really fun little Easter egg that they put in the game. And I think, Dave, you should try and pot a ball.
I will try. I'll definitely try. Sorry, Ellie, this feels a bit. I've got to do this.
Yes!
Yes!
Amazing.
She's so unimpressed. Ammo is scarce.
That's
Joel.
just
That
what
was
you do, isn't
really
it? Like-
unnecessary. It's just what you do. I mean, I'm terrible at pool. I'm taking that.
She told me off for shooting randomly before. She was like, I just guess bullets are free now or something like that. I was like, really, man? Having a bit of fun.
Playing pool here. Come on.
Everything's fine. Everyone's
Everything's
gone now.
fine.
Everyone's
Yes.
gone.
Yeah, that truck's definitely gone.
I'll take a moment.
Let's get underneath it. Fucking open it! Go!
Oh God. Oh.
Run.
Run!
Time to run. It even says run.
I love that it
on
says
the
right
truck.
on the front. Yeah. I never know how to do this. Like weave. Should I weave? I weave.
Zigzag.
I don't know. In real life, I think you should weave.
You should definitely weave.
Joel.
Just run!
Come on, Dave.
Look at everything
behind the sign.
smashing! It looks so good.
And jump.
We've done the gameplay. Well done,
How
Dave.
many bullets do you have left?
They're gonna kill us.
What other choice do we have?
We jump.
No, it's too high and you can't swim. I'll boost you up, you run past them.
I think just looking at their faces and the cutscenes is crazy. You've said it a lot.
Ellie!
Look at the PS5 water down there.
Oh, for God's sake. We're going to have a good look at the water.
Here we go. Oh, look at that.
That's some water.
Look at that.
This bit specifically gets me every time. The impact of this.
Well
I'd
done,
knock
Dave.
all the wind out.
Well done, Dave. He's done it.
Woo!
We did it.
Take a bow. Take a bow.
We did it, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. Pro gamer. Pro gamer. You heard it
I
from the
think you
game
did.
director himself. Pro gamer.
That was probably your best run.
That
I
was
think
so
it
good.
probably
you did
was.
so well.
Yes.
Genuinely. I know I've wound you up about it a lot.
Yeah.
I just want to be sincere for a moment. That was really good.
Thank you.
That was really good.
I think
So-
she means
You've been worrying about that a lot, haven't you?
Yeah.
I have, yeah.
Done it. You've done it. It's done.
Anyway, that's the end of that. Yeah, thank you so much. Well, that was amazing. I
Right.
hope you enjoyed your look at The Last of Us.
I enjoyed it again. It's
yeah,
so good.
I know. I have played that many times now, and
Yeah.
every time it's because every time something different can happen
Yeah.
and will happen, and you can't.
It's amazing
plan it.
how
You
many
can-
times
you
I've
can have
seen
an
you
idea, but
doing that bit with the searchlight, and you can't do it the same way twice.
No.
Because the way they react, you'll put a trap down there, and if you kill one of them, a few will come down the ladder. They never come down the same place
no.
twice.
Sometimes they stay up the
It's
top and
so
try
good.
and see you. It's that's why I've been very nervous.
Yeah.
But yeah, it went well. Excellent.
Oh, well done, Dave.
Thank
you very much for showing us that. So this is our last little section now. I don't know if we need us. Do we need to?
There we go.
Thank you. That was me not sure if... Do we need one? This is before we go. So usually here, before we go, is a section where we talk about like films, TV, stuff outside of games that we are enjoying that, you know, might not be related to what we're talking about. But this time, it's The Last of Us Part 1 special at the PlayStation Access Live podcast.
Yes.
So I figured the before we go bit should be a quiz. It's 3 questions I've devised that are quite hard. I don't expect you to get them. If you do, I think it's good. I don't expect you to get them. It's just 3 questions, just a quick little before we go quiz.
About The Last of Us?
About The Last of Us Part 1.
Okay.
So.
I feel stressed again, Rob.
Yeah.
Rob's already read the questions. He was looking through our notes earlier. Doesn't know the answers, though.
Not on purpose.
I did ask if you wanted to read.
Well, I thought...
Just hit
I
us
thought you were
with
just
them.
being polite.
Huh?
Hit us with these questions.
Just get on with it. Right. Okay. Number 1. What is... I'm thinking of like the millionaire music.
Yeah.
Yes. What is Sarah's implied favourite band? The one she wears on a T-shirt and has a giant poster of in her room.
Don't rub it in. It's got a massive massive poster. I mean, Rob obviously has pored over the details of this bedroom. So
Rob was in that beanbag. He wasn't looking at the posters.
I have only got eyes for the beanbag, it's true. I've got no idea.
She's wearing a T-shirt of them.
She's wearing the T-shirt as well.
Yeah,
and
the posters.
poster.
Is it a
So
real?
big.
Is it a real band
No.
or a made-up band?
It's a Last of Us band. No, is it no to both?
I don't know. I'd be interested to know if anyone in the audience knows the
The
answer.
audience are going to know.
Do you think?
I know.
I think it begins with T. I had a go. 1 in 26.
Audience.
Does anybody know?
Does anybody know? Shout it out if you do.
Oh,
Nobody knows.
Makes me feel a lot better. That's good.
Right, it's Halcyon or Halcyon. I don't know.
Halcyon, yeah.
Halcyon drops.
Halcyon drops. Okay. Let's go with
Halcyon
it.
drops. There we go.
Okay. Well, now you know. Halcyon, everyone knows Halcyon, right?
Obviously.
So I use that twice a day at least.
Halcyon. I don't know. It's spelled hey. It's that anyway.
Trust me. Why is no one believing me? It's Halcyon. Okay. So what's the word? It's
Yeah, you are
Halcyon.
good.
After round 1, the scores are 0-0.
Zero.
And zero. Come on, like. Yeah.
Look how you got thrown under the bus. 0-0-0-0. So, number 2, get a ball.
Don't say that.
Get a ball.
Get a ball.
If you guys have been playing the beginning, get a ball. So, which you have been, but it's just whether you listened. So, how old does Ellie say her bite wound is at the start of the game?
I've got two amounts of time in my head.
Yeah. Well, I didn't write the answer down, so it's whatever I'm feeling.
Do you actually know the answer?
Yeah, I've got an answer.
So you don't even know if it's the right one?
I do, because I listened, so I know.
Where are you at, Rob? What kind of time period do you think? I've got two.
I've got past this bit, so I should know it, but
Yeah.
I've not been paying attention.
So no answer. You got to have a guess.
You got to have a guess.
3 years.
Okay.
Okay, it's like 2 weeks or 10 days.
I'm way out there, mate.
Yeah.
Way out.
Yeah. I mean, that would be super impressive. She's like, I had this 3 years.
Audience?
I think. I'm going to say 2 weeks.
Okay, 2 weeks. And I've heard a month. I've heard 3 weeks a few times. 3 weeks. Any other times? It's 3 weeks. It's 3 weeks.
Is it 3 weeks?
I got the 3 right.
You did get.
Can I get half a point?
No. No.
Okay.
So at the end
I
of
felt
round...
really confident about 2 weeks as well. Oh.
Well, 2 weeks was close.
It was close.
But it was wrong.
No cigar.
At the end of round 2, the scores are 0-0-1.
Well done,
To
audience.
the audience.
Well played.
Okay, this one. So I thought this was an interesting question because it isn't actually like canonized in The Last of Us earlier games. It's only in Last of Us Part 2 that it becomes real, but you should know about it from outer influence.
You stop telling me why I should know things?
It's like, I think it was in the Japanese manual, so...
Oh, well. We've all read that.
What's Joel's surname? Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
I'm going to have a guess. Is it
Yeah, you thought you had something for this.
Joel Miller?
What do you think, Dave?
I think if it's not Joel Miller, it should be. He looks like a Joel Miller. That's a great chance. I thought it was something like quite... I don't know how to say this without offending anyone whose surname this might be. Like quite straightforward. And so I thought it was something like really, like one syllable, like Brown, like Joel Brown.
Yeah.
I think it's not Joel Brown. That's what I gave for people. Joel Brown, Joel Miller. Yeah. We're in the ballpark.
Joel Brown, Joel Miller.
Yeah.
Audience? Yeah, it's Miller.
Yes!
Yes.
Right. So, at the end of round 3, which is the final round, we've got 0, 1, and the audience takes it with 2. So, well done, guys.
Well played.
Right. That is the end of the PlayStation Access Live podcast.
Yeah! We did it, everyone. We did it.
We've gotten through. I hope you have had the best time hanging out with us, chatting about The Last of Us Part 1. I hope you've enjoyed the game, and I hope you enjoy it when it comes out on the 2nd of September, aka this Friday. Thank you so much for joining us. It has been lovely chatting to you all. It's like seeing your little faces in the crowd. It's so like surreal. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you again to PlayStation and to Naughty Dog for such an incredible event. And thank you guys for letting me waffle on.
I think Ash deserves a round of applause for doing such an amazing hosting job as well.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, but no, you. No, it's been really lovely. So thank you so much. If you didn't know, PlayStation Access is a YouTube channel. And we are around. I've literally written it down just in case I forget the days that we're on. It's every day. But Monday and Thursday we stream. There's store updates. There's previews. There's all sorts of fun stuff. So there's loads to keep up with over there as well. But for now, thank you so much for joining us. And we'll see you again soon. We'll be around afterwards a bit as well.
Good night.
Bye.
Thank you. We should stand.
PlayStation